Hey everybody, it's GauntletX, and welcome back to some more Magic Arena. And today we're going to be playing another Aetherdrift Sealed Qualifier Play-In Event. For the competitive players out here, this is your chance to start on that track towards the Pro Tour or Arena Championship. If you get a 6-win run here, you get into the upcoming Qualifier Weekend, where you need to get a 7-win run in best of 3 during day 1 and day 2 twice in a row. So really difficult to make it there, but pretty cool aspirational kind of event for the really competitive players. This is also a great event for players like myself that just want to grind out as many drafts as possible, try to go infinite on Arena, because this is our opportunity to use 20 of the play-in points that we acquire from being top 1500 Mythic or from winning best of 3 draft events. It's our opportunity to use those and convert them into more gems that we can spend on more actual draft events. So that's the main goal for today. Just play as best as we can, win as many games as we can to get as many gems as we can towards more drafts of Tarkir Dragonstorm right around the corner. So without further ado, let's bust open the packs and see what we get to play with today. All right, so we do have like the strongest rare in the set here with Sabsunin, the 5-mana 6/6 Reach Trample Indestructible. That said, our rares do not line up super well here. They're all for pretty divergent strategies. Unless we get to go like green, black, splash blue, then I could run both the Sab and the A-Chick in the same deck, which would be pretty sick. I guess if we play a really aggressive, maybe like Boros, Start Your Engines deck, all three of our red and white rares care about Start Your Engines. So those do line up pretty well, but it's going to be really difficult to convince me to go Boros here, even with these 3 rares, when I have Sabsun in here. So maybe if our green is really bad, we've got a nice Boros aggro backup plan, but depends what we've got in the commons and uncommons. I think 9 times out of the 10, though, we're just going to end up in some kind of Sultai deck, green, black, blue, running these together, but we'll see. We'll see what the sealed pool really supports at the common and uncommon level. So starting off with our colorless cards, we have 0 mana fixing, none of the starting columns. I do have 1 filler removal spell. If I'm incredibly low on removal in the pool, Scrap Compactor can be playable. Kind of begrudgingly playable. It's quite a lot of mana for whatever mode you want there. And that's about it for the colorless spells. Everything else is really deck dependent. If I'm super low on creatures, there's some fine filler colorless cards here. Like if I'm low on creatures in a deck that's really trying to hit max speed, Walking Sarcophagus is fine. Really low on creatures in a deck that's playing a lot of exhaust stuff like Aetherhive, then I can play the Camera Launcher here for another exhaust creature. But as usual, the colorless creature's pretty filler. See what we got for our multicolored spells here. See if we have any really premium uncommons trying to push us in a specific direction. We have the Aetherhive, which is pretty fine. Really depends how many exhaust cards you get in your sealed pool. You'd want ideally 6 or more. I mean, we had 6 in the last deck. I still didn't quite want to play it. You want a really high amount. Lagorin, even with a decent saddle and mount count, I find to be somewhat filler. The vehicle stuff is pretty filler. The boosted sloop's kind of good, right? Like if we go for a blue-red cycling deck, it plays really well with cards like Monument to Endurance that trigger every time you discard a card. So if you have the synergy pieces for boosted sloop, it's pretty incredible, and we actually do, again, with the Monument to Endurance, especially if we have more in blue and red. So yeah, boosted sloop actually pretty interesting. That makes me want to keep blue-red in mind, where I probably wouldn't have otherwise. Haunted Hellride, though, that's just super filler. Guidelight Pathmaker, pretty solid 6-drop. It's a 2-for-1. You get the big vehicle, you get another artifact out of your deck. Pretty splashable because it's a 6-drop as well, which is nice. Riptide Gearhulk, another one of our rares here. Not very splashable, but it is very powerful. I guess it's possible we could be like blue, white, and green and play all these together. So we could go blue, white, green, or black, green, blue, and end up with 2 rares in our deck. The Gearhulk, really color restrictive though, so we'd want to be real deep into blue and white. Versus Sab just needing like a single blue mana. Sab much more splashable than Gearhulk itself. So yeah, decent stuff out of the multicolored, but the fixing's really not there. I mean, I don't even have a lot of dual lands this time. I have 4 total. 1 green-red, 1 black-red, 1 white-black, 1 blue-whites. So like if I play green, blue, and white, I have a single dual land helping me out. If I play green, blue, and black, I have 0 dual lands helping me out. Concerning mana base here in this sealed pool, but we'll see what we got. So let's start off with the white here, which again, we do want to keep in mind our great red and white start your engines rares as reasons to try to play a streamlined aggressive Boros deck. So what we're really looking for out of this color ideally is a pretty aggressive curve of creatures. Sort of has that with 3 1-mana creatures, but I don't find Brightfield Glider to be particularly playable or good for its mana cost, nor do I with Daring Mechanic or Cloudspire Captain or Guidelight Synergist when we only have 2 other artifacts in the color. Our creature base in white is tremendously mediocre, but we have a couple really good spells. Obviously, Perilous Snare is incredible, and Ride's End is also quite good. The issue in this color, though, is that Light Shield parries are basically unplayable. Collision Course really filler removal, but could make the cut. And then again, the creature's just so mid here, even if the quantity's okay. So not super pumped about our white. If again, our dual lands and our colorless had very little fixing. So unless our green has tremendously good mana fixing, I probably don't want to splash white. But if our green has incredible fixing and we do end up splashing it trying to put the double white Gear Hulk in anyway, then yeah, I'll absolutely run a Perilous Snare and a Ride's End as well. But that's about it for huge reasons I could see to play the white here. For our blue, we've got decent 2-drops, Diversion Unit, Skystreak Engineer, and Slick Imitator, all perfectly playable. Not a big fan of Stall Out. Hole Drifter is a fine filler card. One of the begrudging playables. One of the cards I'd like to cut a little early, but still playable otherwise. Gear Seeker Serpent. We're not going to have a high artifact count for that, so that's going to be pretty bad. But, I mean, I like Keen Buccaneer a lot. Been very impressed with that common throughout the format. Thopterus to clutter the board, strategies to slow things down. Blue is like perfectly solidly playable here. There's no interaction in the color. We didn't open up any bounce off to slow our opponent down or flood the engine to deal with any of their threats. So that I'm not a fan of, but it's a good enough support color to play blue as one of our main colors if we're playing a Sab deck. If we want to just be pure green-blue, if our green's good enough, we could do that. But ideally we'll have a better color and be able to just kind of splash the blue, but we'll see. What do we got out of black? Not a ton. Spin Out is pretty great. Grimbobble's pretty great. The creatures are quite filler. Our Victory really filler unless you're a consistently good Start Your Engines deck where you are grinding out that damage and making it to max speeds consistently. I don't think we'd be doing that in Golgari here. It is good enough filler to go for the H-Chick here. It's a really powerful card at the top of our curve, and it requires us basically to play enough black to hit double black consistently. So it kind of requires us to play black as one of our main colors. So the thing about this is, like, none of these cards are completely unplayable like some of the white cards that I just insta-cut, but none of them are particularly great. I mean, Pact Altair is usually quite nice, but it's not going to have synergy in Golgari. It's just going to be kind of the 3-4 body. But they're all like good enough to be begrudgingly playable, just to make playables and keep black as a core color. Our blue and black are so tremendously close, right? Like, black has better removal, and it has an H-Chick, but then the filler cards are worse. Blue just has a bunch of good filler. Like, it's more consistently good here because it's all just decent in blue. I think that gets me still leaning towards black, though. Sure, some of the filleriest cards are worse, like Pilot, Surveyor, Pactol. Even Raiders, to an extent. In this format, they haven't played super well because there's so many enchantments and artifacts that play like instants and sorceries. There's going to be a lot of times your opponent doesn't have anything for you to hit with this. So yeah, it's got all these like really filler stuff, but then it has 2 pieces of really great removal and an incredible bomb with H-Chick. I think that gives black the nod over blue just by a tiny bit. I mean, obviously our blue rare, our Sab, is infinitely more splashable than our black rare, which is also worth noting. So, we'll see. check out what we've got in red now. Something a little interesting to keep in mind, since our white was such mediocre cheap aggressive stuff, but our red cards have the really good aggressive rares between Burnout, Bastronaut, and House Squad Heavy. Because our blue was a bunch of decent filler, there is that opportunity to go for that blue-red boosted sloop deck. Now, we'd have to be confident in the power level of our blue-red deck because we would be giving up a sab to do that. Um, or at least an A-chick. Like maybe we could do this and still splash in the sab. Splash in a little green here. I could see that. Um, but yeah, maybe we've got a good blue-red aggro deck going here. Because again, the red cards in the sealed pool play the best in aggro by a lot. House Squad Heavy, and Burnout Basher not being the best, but the Marauding Mako also good with Boosted Sloop. Do the blue cards play well with the blue-red cycling deck? I mean, cheap evasive threats, cheap flyers, more start your engines cards to help out our two red start your engines rares. The Keen Buccaneer plays well with the Mako. Um, got the Thopterist, Strategist for more evasive threats later. I like to look at the blue red, honestly. That looks perfectly fine. I mean, I could also try to make it to 7 mana and do push the limit stuff. But if you've seen our last qualifier play, and you'll see that um, we did not get to play many games, and those games ended before this deck would hit 7 mana. So there's a big risk in doing that. And I don't think it's even worth the reward here because we don't have that many vehicles in the sealed pool. At least like cycling vehicles. I've got the one Ironclad and then 2 of the Skybox Ferry. Maybe I've got a million mounts. I've got like 2 mounts here. I do not have a million mounts. I have 2 mounts, 3 cycling vehicles if I run the really bad Skybox Ferries just trying to push the limit. And then maybe Sloop or Hull Drifter ends up in the grave, but it's unlikely without cycling on them. I do not think this is a good push the limit sealed pool. Pedal to the metal, not the most efficient trick. I think all these cards stay to the side too. Probably do splash in a Sab. Even with no fixing, Sab is just such an insanely powerful card. I think that is strong enough to make the mana base worse and just run triple forest for Sab. But we do, I think, actually have a piece of fixing for the teamer here, do we not? I thought we had a red-green duel. Yeah, we do. We have 1 red-green duel. So we'll have 1 red-green duel, forest. So still make the mana base considerably worse, right? That's 2 land slots getting taken up. That could have been a red or a blue source. But again, it's worth it for the Sab. So that's the most interesting thing to keep in mind for the red. Because that is where red looks good. I do have some issues with our red that I don't like. And those issues are that the non-creature spells are just bad here. There's no removal. The push limits are not going to be quite playable. Celebrations is such filler card draw. Even Ironclad's not super playable without synergies. So red is literally just a pile of decent creatures. So, I mean, even if we go blue-red and have decent synergies, neither of these colors has any removal, any interaction to get some big beefy blocker out of the way. Like, we can get roadblocked really easily with this archetype, with this deck, because we just have nothing. I mean, I could try running a stall out just because I'm so insanely low on removal. I mean, I'll have to play a 1-of Scrap Compactor, and that's about it. But we do have that Monument to Endurance synergy stuff going, try to just cheese out wins without even playing any interaction. It's a strategy we can try, but it's a really, really risky strategy with no interaction at all in the color pair. See what we've got in our green now. Hopefully one of the best colors, and it looks pretty good. This curve is lower than I would hope for green in this format. We didn't get any migrating Ketrodons here, any of the big stuff, but we got some really, really solid stuff. We are consistently spending our mana throughout the game here because we've got double Scurryfoot, so we can play these on 1, we can adapt them on 4. Double Hazard we can play on 4, adapt on 7. So tons of great ways to use our mana. Triple Pothole Moles to pick up more lands. One thing I don't like here, if I'm playing green, I've got like a Veloheart Bike for fixing. Like, if I'm playing green, I'm splashing Sab, period. What I don't like is triple Pothole Mole when we have 0 pieces of graveyard recursion in the entire sealed pool. So if Pothole Mole mills our Achik or it mills our Sab, it's just gone. I think we still would have to run it because it's still really good at consistently hitting your land drops. It fills the grave for the Achik, which is quite powerful. But that is a genuine risk that I think we don't really have control over. I don't think we can just not run the Pothole Moles. And we just have not a single card in the sealed pool that picks something up from grave. That is awkward. All right, so I mean, that was a look at our whole sealed pool. The only colors with any removal whatsoever are white and black. We have Perilous Snare and Ride's End in white. We have Bauble and Spin Out in black. Playing black gives us access to Atric if we go green-black. So I feel inclined to do that. Green-black also gives me a bike towards Sab, which is great. So we get 2 removal spells. Probably have to play Scrap Compactor as well. So we get 3 removal spells total, as opposed to playing the blue-red deck, trying to get some good aggressive curves and cycling synergies, playing just a single Scrap Compactor for removal, splashing in a Sab off just a Rugged Islands. I think we're going Sultai here. I mean, the greens are really good with double Scurryfoot, double Hazard. The Pothole Moles, again, are good, but they're going to be a double-edged sword for us. We're going to mill Sab a non-zero amount of the time. I think this is just the way you go in sealed in this format. Let's do our thing. I'm just taking another peek through all the cards here just to really make sure I have no graveyard recursion whatsoever. And no removal in red and no removal in blue, and I just don't. I don't even have a bounce spell in blue. I don't have a bounce off. I don't have a trip up. This feels like a pretty forced direction here. It does not feel great, but I just don't think any other direction is correct at all. It's just Golgari. Hope to cheese wins with Sab and Achik. Hope to not mill them with moles. No more splashable blue cards here. So we just get to cut 2 of the cards we've put in. If I've got enough exhaust, I could play Ether Hive, Camera Launcher, and Pit Automaton is all mediocre exhaust synergy cards that go up in value if we have a ton of it. There's a possibility. Yeah, let's take a peek at that. We've got double Hazard. We've got double Scurryfoot. We got 1 Camera Launcher. That's 5 exhaust total. And that's with running a Camera Launcher. Yeah, no, I'm just not going to play the exhaust package at that point. It's quite low. If our fixing were any better, I could cut more of these mediocre black spells for some of our solid blue filler. I just think our mana base is going to be so bad if we do that. Having to run pretty even numbers of black and blue to run like Keen Buccaneer, Skystreak Engineer, Slick Imitator and stuff. It just doesn't feel like the power level buff is worth the pain on the mana base here. Like even for like splashing a Perilous Snare and stuff. Because again, we have 1 bike. I mean, I don't know. I can run a Tranquil Cove over one of our 2 islands, a Scoured Barrens over one of our swamps. That is 2 white sources into the deck already, plus Velo Heart Bike for 3 white sources total. I could do that, play like 1 Plains as well, and then throw in the Snare and the Ride's End as well. It's kind of a scuffed mana base. I don't hate that, though. Those are tremendously powerful removal spells. I don't mind if I can't cast them till a little later. The mana base is just 1 land worse. I wish this were one of those fight spells that lets you search out a basic or fight. Because that would be so good. Just 1 more piece of fixing here. So if we go for the double splash, I'm on 17 lands here. So we cut 4 spells. 16 creatures, 11 non-creatures. Got some non-creatures here. Come on. 6 removal? This stack? Probably cut the combat tricky cards then. For all these. And I've got an overdrive double strength. I've got, yeah, 3 combat tricky things. So we cut all 3 of these probably. For bauble, plow through, spin out, scrap compactor, snare, rides end. 1 more cut. Cut 1 of the moles so I mill Sab less often. Probably not the right pick because it's generally such a good card. I mean, almost definitely not the best pick, statistically speaking. Technically just as likely to mill us 3 cards closer to Sab than mill the Sab. Maybe cut an Hour of Victory. This deck doesn't start our engines until turn 3, and our only way to raise our speed without declaring attacks is 1 copy of Pact Doll Terror. So I don't think we're very good at hitting max speed. And Hour of Victory out of all these cards is the one that needs max speed the most. The rest of them are at least still relevant without it. But if we do ever hit max speed with Hour of Victory, that's pretty absurd in a deck with a Sab in it. Being able to tutor out a Sab. Yeah, I'm just going to cut them all. Run the Hour. Alright. Wild, pretty optimistic mana base here. But otherwise a decently strong looking deck. 12 green cards, 9 black, and then just the 1 blue and the 2 white. So make sure our green and black is as good as can be here. We're on a 7-7 split of them. And then for blue and white, we have 2 blue sources. We have 3 white sources. Probably should cut a white source towards another green. Green is very, very important. We've got 1-drop green spells. We have a card in green that can help hit our other colors. I mean, the pothole moles to an extent can help hit our other colors as well, so yeah, I need to go pretty deep on green, so I'm gonna go kind of gambly on our white. Just run only 2 blue sources and only 2 white sources, with the bike being the 3rd of each. Again, pretty optimistic mana base here, but I think that's the best way for this deck to be built. To really up our power level in the sealed pool, actually get a solid amount of removal in here. Got my fingers crossed with this one for sure, but looks like a decent deck, so we'll call it a deck here, hop into the gameplay, and see how it does. Here we are on the play for game number 1. If we can hit our land drops, we have a solid shot here, and I have 2 early game creatures to trade off and stall us out a little. We're going to keep it. It's got the strongest card in the whole deck in our hand, and the mana we need to cast it, color-wise. We obviously need to draw more lands, but they can be any colors. And we'll make it there. Okay. Let's lead with the bigger stat line, as Vanguard's ability isn't relevant until we have 5 mana. We are playing against a red deck. They could have some aggressive stuff, but they don't. Unfortunately, we've drawn both of the white spells in the entire deck, so that could be pretty awkward with only 2 white sources in there. Almost a double mulligan here. Rides and the Omnivore, fair enough. I think if the game goes long, Beast Rider Vanguard is the card I would rather keep, so I'm fine with that. This does imply their hand is pretty slow if they are willing to Rides End immediately there, instead of waiting for something bigger like a potential hazard. Or they could just be scared that our hand is really, really fast, which has been playing out fine. Alright, so they get to find their own Omnivore. They've got a great sealed pool. They might have like a Terrian or something, but that costs triple green, so probably not. Yeah, Gibberick Omnivore it is. Perfection here. We hit the lands all just in time to go absolutely ham with Sabsunin. They are playing white, which is one of the best colors at dealing with Sab. If they have a second Rides End, they'll get her. But if they don't have it immediately, we at least draw 2 cards off of her here. And at that point, she's already been a 3-for-1. If they do have it immediately, it is a problem, but they're tapped out and they're at 11 life. We get to attack with Hazard again. There's a Venom Sac Lagak and a Gibberic Omnivore. They don't have it immediately, so Sab is going to do some things to them. Draw a couple cards here and see what we find. Land. They are both green sources, so no white mana yet. I can definitely run out the Scurryfoot. And then I have the mana to activate Vanguard or adapt Scurryfoot after that. I think I'm playing the long game here since I have a Sab on board. I don't feel the need to push some Hazard damage in. Because Hazard does just trade for Gibberic Omnivore or Fang Druid Summoner if they double block. I could kill Lagak if they single block, which is also fine. I think I'm playing the long game here. I'm just 1 turn from making this trample for like 1,000,000. So there's a genuine question here whether it's better to adapt Scurryfoot or activate Vanguard, because the cool thing about activating Vanguard is it digs us 3 cards closer to our white source for these 2 spells that are stranded in our hand. I'm really happy I played it slow. Any damage they deal to us raising their speed is a really big deal with the Samet. If they attack with basically anything here, I have to activate Scurryfoot, and I think with Samet on board I have to activate Scurryfoot, period, to get a wide enough board to really make sure they're not raising their speed. Yeah, I mean, I'd also like to activate Vanguard, because if it does find the white source, that's obviously pretty good. The issue is if it doesn't. Mana off from Surveyor plus activate Vanguard. Which means if I activate Vanguard, I'd only have the mana up for a Ride's End, which wouldn't be able to get rid of an untapped Samet anyway. Just gonna adapt a Hazard here. I've got 4 blockers up. One of them is absolutely massive. Yeah, I mean, we send in 8, put them to 3, and adapt Hazard probably. Put them to 4 instead. Pass the turn. Light Wheel enchantments. Little buff on Samet. Lightning Strike, our 3/3, sure. Reckless Velocitor doesn't really do anything. They are going to attack. Well, we'll just exhaust and eat that up. And that is game. Start things off 1-0 this time, heading into game number 2. Here we are on the play for game 2. Need a black source pretty bad. There's 7 in the deck though, and I have a turn 1 play, a turn 2 play, and a turn 4 play off of green alone. I'm gonna keep here. Playing against a white deck. They start with a Bosri here. Trade a Scurryfoot into a Bosri. They do not want to do that. Here's an Omnivore. This Bosri can spit out a 1/1 lifelinker every other turn. Exert means they can only tap it once every other turn. It will not untap the next turn whenever they exert. Playing against Boros, so we could have some pretty huge issues if we don't draw lands this game. Because Boros is generally quite aggressive. As we saw with our rares, we had some good aggressive rares in Boros. Did hit a land. It is not a black source yet, though. Alright, they could trade Bosri into the Omnivore and make it Cat here, which is pretty decent for them, but getting the Bosri off the board, stopping it from making any more Cats in the future is still solid enough as a reason to send in the Omnivore. Very bad turn to attack with Scurryfoot, though. We don't want to trade Scurryfoot into a Cat token. Goblin Surveyor, sure. Any land in the board is incredibly cluttered up in our favor. Just exhaust a Scurryfoot this turn, exhaust a Scurryfoot next turn. They do get to raise their speed here because I can't really afford to trade a Scurryfoot off. Beautiful draw. It is a land. It's also the black source, which is particularly good. I could really try to keep them off speed here by not attacking at all. They have 6 damage on their board total. We have 3, 4, 5, 6 on ours, plus a 3/3 blocker up. I think I'm actually trying to get the aggressive lead here. Not where I expected to be when I saw Boros from our opponent. But we've hit every land drop, so we get to curve out here. I'm not letting them raise their speed for free. You're going to have to spend a spell to kill this 3/3. Sure. Burner Rocket is particularly good here, but it doesn't trample over still. And we still kill the Cat token. Okay. They can crew up a Burner Rocket to trade into a Scurryfoot. Honestly, have at it. If they don't block the 1/1 Scurryfoot, I might not exhaust here. I probably will. Yeah, I think their best block is to block the unexhausted one, because it forces me to make the decision right there. Yeah. Like if I had something good I wanted to cast here, I wouldn't be able to do it anymore. Alright, so Burner Rocket essentially traded into an entire Scurryfoot, right? It killed the 3/3 by doing the +2/+0, and it killed the 2/2 by trading off. So, as well as it played, because of how strong Scurryfoot is, it was really just a 1-for-1 in the end. In fact, technically we were slightly up because we got to kill the entire Burner Rocket and a Cat token. And they just killed the entire Scurryfoot. Although it's not like these Cat tokens are worth a whole card, so we're like only tiny bit up there. Okay, they've got 3 cards left in their hand. We are unlikely to make them discard something with Raider, but I still feel it's the best play here. I don't think Colodon really does anything, does it? If they play a really strong vehicle, I guess, then it does. A really strong vehicle or mount. Yeah, single black mana. Our victory really doesn't matter till we're max speed. It's between Raider and Surveyor. I could also just bobble Bosri and pass. It's also fine. I guess Bosri's not exhausted. Yeah, I should just probably bobble Bosri. This game's not going particularly fast anytime soon, so I have time to just stop that from popping off over and over. I could send the 3/3 in. They have to double block and let me kill Colodon with the 3/3. But they'd gain a life, I'd lose my 3/3, and I would have less attacks trying to raise my speed on future turns. And with all 3 cards in my hand caring about my max speed, I kind of want to preserve my creatures to be able to swing with them on a future turn where I'm also actually trying to raise my speed. Okay, they're not going to attack through Pride of the Road. See what's left in their hand here. At worst, we get the information. Oh, we got a Rides in. That feels good. They have a Spike Spitter and a Glory Heath Lynx. So Lynx can get auto-mounted by Culloden, and it has haste. But Spike Spitter and Pride of the Road really don't do much till they're at max speed. So I think we are doing everything in our power to hold them off max speed. In which case, they're basically playing off the top at this point. So let's get the chunkiest blocker down. Play a Mutant Surveyor. Next turn, I will draw blind, and if I don't hit something good, I'll just play Hour and then Surveil Bauble. But we're on the full defense here, keeping them off of speed. Planes off the top. Glory Heath Lynx with haste. Can draw another planes out of their deck, but it definitely dies on the swing, so I doubt they send it in. There's a Spike Spitter. Yeah, they pass. Okay, just a land off the top, so we'll play the Hour of Victory. I'll hold 4 mana up to be able to double buff Surveyor if that's relevant, which will only be relevant if they top deck something, but still nice to have. And then we'll just Grim Bauble in their end step. Looking for our bombs. Both Sab and Achik still left in the deck, and both really good draws. I mean, Achik just kind of okay right now, but Sab obviously ridiculous. Land to grave. I only have 2 white sources in the whole deck, and I'm milling one right now. Still think I'd rather do that than just play a land next turn. Deathless Pilot for the draw. Alright. It's a staring contest here. It is the top deck war of all top deck wars for sure. Some classic Aetherdrift now. Now we're in the interplanar death race. Now we've started our engines, max speed ahead. Starting column, just more mana. They pass the turn, we draw forest and pass. It is still such a weird design to me that it's like we're in Boros, the interplanar death race format. Or we're in Aetherdrift, the interplanar death race format, and our opponent's on Boros. And all of their creatures have more toughness than power. Like, look at this board. This does not look like a race. Gameplay aside, I think the flavor did not hit the hardest here in terms of how the format plays and in correlation with what the lore of the format is. Daring Mechanic. That is a problem. This is a 4-mana mana sinks, and any way to dump their mana in this top deck war is going to be great. So even if it's like somewhat mediocre, they've got a mount. So the Glory Heath Lynx is just going to become an absolutely massive lifelinker. But you know what's a bigger problem? Sabsunin, unless I mill out. They have the mana to double activate Mechanic next turn. They're going to have a 5/6 lifelinker. And then a 7/8. That's going to be big enough to block our indestructible Sab attacks, survive, and gain them a bunch of life very soon. Yeah, it's getting bigger faster than our Sab is. Oh, thank goodness. Literally right on time. Plow through. So they can double activate Daring Mechanic. They have 9 mana total, which is enough to activate twice and make Lynx a 5/6. That's still low enough toughness to die to 7 damage. I could also fight the mechanic. I mean, they're a Boros deck. They're running Cullinan. They're going to have more mounts and vehicles to be throwing counters onto. I think I actually fight the mechanic here, which is even easier to kill. If they had anything they could have killed Sab with, they would have done it during their turn, so we don't draw the extra 2. So I'm just going to plow through using Sab. Okay. Sab's already drawing me a million cards here, so I'm not just going to like play and activate Vanguard. I'm going to keep playing to the board here and get as much possible power so I can start jamming in as quickly as possible so that I don't have a chance of milling out. The one issue with playing that way is that there is a board wipe in the format, but our opponent scoops them up there. Sabsinan does Sab things, and we are 2-0, both wins off of our Frog God. Alright, here we are for game number 3. Solid keep on the play here. Turn 2 Omnivore, curve it into the Hour Victory, and try to raise our speed. They don't have a creature down by then, which is possible since we're on the play. They might have a bobble for this Omnivore, but then they don't get to bobble the Scurryfoot. Unless they have double bobble. Bubble bobble. I don't know what. There's something wrong with my brain. Let's raise our speed here. Elvish Refueler now from our opponent. I don't really want to spin out here, but I definitely want to raise my speed this turn. I can't really do that with a double attack. I mean, I can, but I would be chump attacking with this 2-2. I mean, Elvish Refueler is a problem in the late game. I'm speeding up. I guess I could send Omnivore alone in and I probably raise my speed, but then I'm just not happy if they just trade there. Ovia? Oh my god, this is lining up so well for me. Okay, except that I only have one green source. So I guess I'm on Deathless Pilot this turn. I could crack Hour Victory instead. But I don't have the blue mana for Sab yet anyway. And they're at 7. Let's play to the board. Siphon Fuel the Omnivore. Some good life gain too. They're at 9 now. Scurryfoot plus Activate. Keep playing to the board here. I could Hour Victory for a 3-drop and immediately cast it. Is there anything that impactful though? Gastel Raider, I guess. I guess what I can do is on a future turn, I can Hour Victory for our Perilous Snare, which is insane now that we have max speed, because that'll be able to clear out their blocker and put a +1/+1 counter on one of our creatures each turn. So I think Perilous Snare is just a wonderful Hour Victory target, since we have the white source up. Exactly enough mana for the crack plus grab that. So there's Carrion Cruiser, spending 3 mana for something that doesn't block by itself. Pick up the Elvish Refueler, and they're just dead. Sometimes it is good to be on the play. We just curved out, bashed in, and got our 3rd victory real quick. That is 3-0 heading into game 4. Alright, here we are for game number 4. Solid opener, plenty of interaction for sure. Got the Mole into the Hazard for our turn 3 and 4 play. Need to top deck 1 land by turn 3 for that, and we found the land. Playing against a red deck. Should be a good matchup for Grim Bauble. Tyrox, yeah, that is 1 toughness. Your bubble hits for 2. That said, I believe we're pothole mulling here. Is this my first pothole mull cast? Feels like my first pothole mull cast. No sab, no sab, no sab, no sab. Okay. I'm gonna do that every time. Pothole mull for Tyrox is a perfectly reasonable trade here if they send in. That's why I like playing the mull towards mana. If they play like a really good 3 or less toughness card, I might bobble Tyrox and compact the other creature next turn. And there's a ton of different lines we can do, right? We have the mana to play any of our spells next turn. So it just really depends on what they end up playing here. They just insta-attack, I'm just taking the trade without the information of what's coming next. Don't play anything. Well, here's Hazard of the Dunes then. We have found our white source. We milled one of the 2 white cards, but we could still hit Perilous Snare. Broken Wings, the Scrap Compactor. Alright, perfectly fine. I spent 1 mana to soak up 3 of their mana on a Broken Wings, and I still have a spin out for anything that matters that badly. Like an Elvish Refueler, which honestly doesn't matter too much on this board. Probably just Gastel Raider them instead. So I'm already attacking with Hazard. It's going to be a 3-4. Doesn't really matter how big it gets. I can spin it out later. So since it's currently not relevant at all, I should have played Gastel Raider turn 1. Or main phase 1. I literally do that every single time I play this card. I should be at speed 2 right now, because they still wouldn't have blocked. Oh my god, we have problems. I mean, I'm happy I didn't spin out the 2-3, because now they're going to have an 8-8 trample if they don't cycle the Rex, but the Rex is also just tremendously powerful cycled. Couple counters, trample indestructible. They've got a Guardian that gets really big. Red Shift doesn't do anything, so at least there's that, but the rest of the hand is an issue. And the no ETB value on Raider's pretty rough. Half self-imposed, I should be at 2 speed, but the half of not finding an instant or sorcery in their hand is also rough. Red Shift, sure. So I can bobble the Guardian. I can spin out the Refueler. But I'm pretty confident I'm supposed to save that. Can't really hold it up here. Man, the main phase 2 Gastel Raider is gonna be... That's gonna stack up pretty bad. Rough misplay there. But it's the misplay that I have made over and over and over again in this format because I'm just so used to main phase doing my spells. Alright, pretty happy to see that get hard cast. That's gonna be much easier for us to deal with than trying to play around the cycle indestructible trick. I don't have double black up, so we are surveilling here, spinning out after we untap. I have 2 blue sources in the whole deck. If I draw Sab, I can still draw into a Pothole Mole, an Island, or the Vehicle. I think I mill this because it's not useful right now. I mean, a 7th land isn't horrible. 7th mana isn't horrible. 7th Lana. Mix between land and mana. I just really don't want to flood. And that gets me started towards flooding. Potentially. I'm going to mill both. I got 3 more blue sources, actually. Alright, Refueler's going to be an issue for me. Alright, well I drew a Pothole, so I'll be able to get my blue mana. Although, the deeper I get into my deck without drawing Sab or Achik, the more likely I am to mill them with Pothole. I think I attack here. Because I think it'd be pretty insane for them to triple block. I guess if they just double block with Refueler Redshift, I also can't really spin out. Yeah. I guess I don't get an attack this turn. Yeah, I mean, I just have to kill the 8/8. I was considering, like, maybe I get to attack there, right? And then hopefully they just block Hazard with the Rex, and then I can blow it up and hit them for 4 and raise my speed. No Sab, no Sab, no Sab. Oh, we hit double Scurryfoot, which is sad, but... Anyways, I was gonna say, if they just double blocked, like, Hazard with Refueler Redshift, then I can't really afford to spend spin out there, so I don't get to raise my speed here for the risk of Hazard dying. Kick off Celebrations, discard a card, draw 2. And Refueler is just going to keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. But Hazard's going to be a 7/7 next turn, and it's not going to get big that fast. So we do get some Hazard swings going. So this is the turn where Hazard should be getting us to max speed, but I punted, so we're going to be on speed 3 instead of 4. Send in the Hazard. They have a 5, a 4/5, and a 2/3. They don't get to kill it. Yeah, it eats up the board here if they didn't draw into combat tricks. I don't got another spell, so I'll hit 7. Boom, put them to 5, speed 3 now. Do I have discard and draw a card? I don't, but it's probably not the end of the world to bluff something, because I also don't really have card draw, where I could have 2 lands in my hand in one turn. I guess Sab is card draw, but like if I resolve Sab, it's not really going to matter if I don't have the ability to play both my lands in one turn. Refuel again. So now Refueler gets to be a 5/6. So they can put a 5/6 and a 2/3 in front of Refueler, but if they do that, they die to the rest of the creatures. Unless they have cheap red burn, which is possible. I think I'm supposed to send in the team here, so that without a good trick, they don't get to kill Hazard here. I mean, this is also dead on board. This just forces them to have action here to stay in this game. I think this would be the turn that I would be almost definitely winning had I played it outright and had max speed, because then Gastel Raider having Menace as well would make the list of outs for our opponent incredibly low. Okay, double block Hazard plus kill another card, go to 1. Okay, Burner Rocket does not kill another card. What about the last card in hand? Okay, it's lethal on board. Lucky end to that game that they just didn't hit very relevant spells in the end there. Again, I think definitely misplayed a bit there. We could have had an even better position with the Raider having Menace that turn. Again, their list of outs goes down quite a bit. Although their best outs are the same whether or not Raider has Menace there, right? If I had full speed and this was like a 3-3 Menace, one of their best outs is Lightning Strike, whether or not the Raider's a 3-2 Menace. And that would play the exact same way whether or not we were at max speed there. They just kill the Raider, take 4, and kill our Hazard. All right. Solid lucky game there. We've got our one punt of the day out of the way, hopefully, with the max speed, or the engines getting started main phase 2 after attacking. Pretty much never want to do that. But yeah, I'll take it. We are 4-0 now. We've got great prizes out of the event. If you pay in with gems, this event costs 4,000 gems. So we are in the money here, getting more gems than it costs to enter, getting some great bang out of our buck for those 20 play-in points. So pretty happy here, but we're also only 1 win away from getting the maximum amount of gems out of this event. So fingers crossed here, see if we can't keep getting lucky as we head into game number 5. Here we are for game number 5 on the draw. Need a green source pretty desperately, but we ran a pretty high count. I think we're on 9. Yes. No, we're on 8. We're on 8 green sources. I mean, I have Raider and Spin out in the quote-unquote early game, as early as we've got in the hand. Even if I had green mana, I wouldn't start till 3. Definite risk here, but if I hit a green source, we got all the lands in the world for anything we draw into. I'm going to keep it here on the draw. Uh-oh. Playing against Rakdos. That's one of the fastest archetypes in the format. Granted, pretty difficult to have a particularly fast deck in Sealed, where you have no control over your creature curve. But here they go, starting off of turn 2 with the Wreckage Wicker Folk. Really good card at raising their speed. Doesn't get like a million points of damage in or anything, but consistently chips in for that 1 damage. And Mardu, red, black, and white are the 3 colors that care the most about raising their speed. So I'm already concerned about the turn 2 Wicker Folk here. They also surveilled both cards to the top, so they're drawing straight gas. Here's the Carrion Cruiser. Blind Carrion Cruiser is definitely a risk, but they get paid off for it. Immediately hit the Goblin Surveyor, but we get paid off for our risk as well and hit our green source. So now I can Gastel Raider them to have a 2-1 up to block the 3-2 Cruiser if they try to crew that and send in. And then I can play Hazard the Dunes next turn to have a blocker up for everybody else. They've got a Road Rage here, which currently does 3 damage. They have no other mounts or vehicles in their hand, so I believe I hit the Ride's End. So they can't Ride's End our Hazard of the Dunes. They can Road Rage our Gastel Raider, but they have no removal big enough to kill Hazard left. Unless they 2-for-1 themselves. So this could be crew the Cruiser, shoot the Raider with a Road Rage here. If they do shoot the Raider with Road Rage, though, they don't have it to 2-for-1 into the Hazard. Perilous Snare, you say? I don't mind that at all. It's definitely not right to snare and try to attack and raise our speed, because then they just Road Rage. But I'm happy to have that card for later. We're just going to play the Hazard here and pass. They are going to Road Rage the Raider, surprising. I'm pretty happy with that. Now Hazard... pretty unhappy. So they top deck Momentum Breaker, and that's why they Road Rage the Raider, because now they can just make us sack the 4-4. It's pretty rough, but they're almost out of cards. They've got one Streaker left in their hand, the Streaking Oil Gorger. And that's it. So if I can fight my way through all this, I can live here. I don't have the mana to play a blocker and a removal spell here. They're gonna be at max speed. So I exile Goblin Surveyor. Or do I trade into it with a Pothole Mole? Try to trade into it with a Pothole Mole, then my Pothole Mole just trades into Carrion Cruiser instead. If I don't mill a forest, I can't Pothole Mole plus Plow through, which could also be a play. If I Pothole Mole and then Plow the Carrion Cruiser, I guess I'm dealing with 2 threats. Ideally, I just get to a board where I can block Carrion Cruiser without losing a creature, but we don't know how long it's going to take to get to that board here. That's the problem. I think I'm just Pothole Moling. And if I hit a green source, I also get to Plow the Cruiser. If I don't, I'll just trade into it. I didn't pray for no sab, but Arena didn't punish me on that one. I really don't like using 1-for-1 removal on the vehicle, but it's kind of the position we're in here. Just need to buy time to draw into our bomby bombs. Yep, we just have the removal to kill both the flyers. We have the mole to trade into the surveyor. Do draw a card off the surveyor. So I could try to go exile surveyor and spin out the flyer. And then just hit them with our mole there. That might have been better. Go to 6 right now so that I could actually exile the surveyor and stop the card draw. Playing Vanguard so I can just start activating that immediately next turn as an option. Yeah, that's probably a misplay. I mean, not quite a punt, but I think it would have been better exiling the creature on the ground. Raise my speed, gain a couple life, let them poke back for 1. They're already at max speed, it's whatever. Got my spin out up. Do I need spin out up, or should I just play the mole as well here? You know, honestly, I don't need the life gain or the fixing quite yet. I might just hold out spin out and just activate Vanguard and start doing that. We have an A-Chick and a Sab in the deck to dig to. With 23 cards left, we're digging 3 cards a turn. I'm only taking 1 a turn. I think I'm just full on digging with Vanguard literally every opportunity. Okay, Deathless Pilot is not good for me, because I don't Vanguard through that to raise my speed. Hour of Victory. Okay. I think I take that. Scrap Compactor is also good. How am I raising my speed for this Hour of Victory, though? I have to play Pothole Mole and try to start attacking with that. Yeah, I mean, with the Deathless Pilot on their board, I kind of have to play Pothole Mole no matter what. think I'm going Our Victory and try to paw home with speed up. There's our own Deathless Pilot. So now I get to start attacking with Mole every turn and holding Pilot up as the blocker. Alright. No sab, no sab, no sab. Please. Arena. Goodbye, A-Chick. Pretty mana efficient draw, though. Well-timed draw there. Already got infinite blocks on the ground here. I'm digging again. I mean, I'll be tapped out after I dig, so we'll do it during their turn. Oh, man. How do I lose a top deck war with a Beast Rider Vanguard on board? Like so. Really not it. 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 mana. Can't activate Vanguard and play Sab in the same turn. Can't play Hazard and Adapt in the same turn, so they can just make Wicker Folk a 4-power flyer, and I don't have the blocks up. One more speed. Might have to be our victoring for like a Ride's End to exile whatever Ether Spark's attached to kill the Ether Spark. So we can't attack the Ether Spark unless it's unattached. Might have to take this hit and go to 2, which is really sketchy against black and red in this format. Red has direct damage burn spells, black has life drain with cards like Pact Altair. Okay, if they don't make it a 4-power creature, then obviously I can just block with Hazard. Ooh, that's probably quite bad for me. They can carrion cruiser for a carrion cruiser for the deathless pilot at worst. Wow, yeah, multiple carrion cruisers in the same sealed pool is really nice. Cruiser into cruiser. Oh, I guess the deathless pilot isn't in their grave right now. They are an incredibly creature-light deck. Oh no, I just exiled stuff. Yeah, stuff has been exiled here. Some random surveyors, so they'll get the one that they can keep buffing up over the 3/2. What? I thought for sure they'd take the one that you can activate a bunch of mana to buff instead of the 3/2 trample one. Is there other draw combat trick? I guess even if it isn't, they still do this because it puts 3 loyalty on the Aether Spark. True, yeah. Grim Bauble to finish off the hazard, sure. Now they can only play Deathless Pilot, though. I'm gonna have to grab removal for Wicker Folk. I can't grab Sab right now. Oh wait, I can't. I'm still not max speed yet. I'm 1 off. So I can't kill the Aether Spark here because I can't kill the Wicker Folk till post-combat. Oh god. If I attack with any 2 creatures, I will have max speed. I still don't have the mana to activate Vanguard and cast Sab. 9 mana total, 2 to crack victory, leaves me with 7 mana left. So I can crack that, grab Sab, and that's it. Nothing else for the turn. They're going to have 3 creatures on board. I'm going to have 3 blockers up. This should be fine. Yeah, I should be able to survive just barely. Because they have all the creatures they need to crew up all the carrion cruisers and send them at me. Or just attack with the pilot itself. Perilous Snare Sab is a spicy combo. Can't attack or block unless it has an even number of counters on it. So I can make sure to Perilous Snare Sab up whenever Sab has an odd number. So I get the draw 2, and then it can attack or block, and the draw 2 and attack or block just immediately every time. Although I don't really want to keep spamming the draw 2. Now we're at risk of milling out faster than our opponent. Alright, with their cards in hand, we're very safe, but they could have top-decked something, and they have another opportunity to with Mutant Surveyor. They could even, like, Surveil 2 with Grim Bauble and exile Mutant Surveyor and draw as well. One to the grave and one to the top. Keep it on top and draw 2 off of the Aether Spark. That's a horrific sign for us. Play a Plains. Pactal Terror, yeah, that is quite bad. Go to 5. Gilded Goda. Draw 2. It's a lot of blockers, but I need another reach or flying blocker to not die to Wicker Folk. I don't think I have another one. I think I need to draw. I have Scrap Compactor and Ride's End I can draw into. Are they scried to the bottom? No, they've been shuffled. So they could be at any point. Scrap Compactor I can find off of Vanguard. Destroys a creature or vehicle, does not destroy Aether Spark. And then Ride's End also doesn't destroy an Aether Spark. I think I'm just focused on putting stats on the board right now. For the turn. Right, because I mean, if I activate Vanguard, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I'd have 1, 2, 3, 4 mana up. 5 mana if I didn't play Scryfoot. I wouldn't have enough to also Scrap Compact the Worker Folk anyway. I'd have to spend 7 total. I guess I could still activate Vanguard and just not use Scrap Compactor yet. As long as I have 5 up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I can spend 3 here. Probably rather play Scurryfoot though, or activate Scurryfoot. No. Let's play Raider. I can activate Scurryfoot at instant speed. So I can just threaten to activate Scurryfoot and then not do it and activate Vanguard instead. Yeah, that I think is the play. Okay, I need Sapsinen to be blocking, so boop that and then pass. Oh, second Wicker Folk is horrendous for me. I have to hit both pieces of removal now. They also drain me for 1 and Surveil 2. They have 9 cards left. But we definitely mill out first with Sab, because I have to keep using them in a way that makes me drawing 2 a turn. 7 cards left. Play another Goda. Move the Spark over. Play Goblin Surveyor. Show me the Scrap Compactor. Was there any way to have the mill first? Go to main phase. Counter goes on. This is sorcery speed, so I can't respond to that counter going on. So I go to my main phase and I draw 2, period. Then I have to put the counter on to give it the ability to block. I can't stop myself from drawing 2 with this every turn, so there's no way I can have them mill before me. So I have to dig for the removal for Wicker Folk. So dig for scrap. Let's go. 6 cards left. This is the tiniest chance in the universe. The best thing the Ether Spark does is draw them extra cards. I don't think I actually care about killing the Ether Spark. I think I care much more about their life total. I can Ride Zend Wicker Folk and block 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 other creatures. That is the rest of their board. Unless they top deck a creature to crew cruiser with. I have to start getting damage. To not mill out. Please tell me the top deck is not a creature. If the top deck is an artifact creature, I think we're legitimately dead on board. Because they go to 3. They can crew the cruiser. I can block everything but a 2/2. Okay, I go to 1. If the top deck is an artifact creature. If it's a spell that's 2 artifact creatures off 1 spell, it's just dead. If it's removal, it's also really bad. If it's removal, I go to 1. They're not 1, but 2. That is a smart place to put the Ether Spark. Oh, Combat Trick would be the absolute worst here. Because then they can just Combat Trick the Trampler or the Flyer, whichever one I don't Ride Zend. But again, I think I've played this out right. I think I had to get that Sab attack in to try to get the kill in a few swings here. So it's going to be what it's going to be. It's exactly removal that also shoots me for 2. It's like Exactsies. Yeah, so they target my creature that I can't crew 2 with. Oh no, I'm at max speed. I'm at max speed. So they can't shoot me for 2 with this. I have 4 blockers up. 1, 2, 3, 4. Block, 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 block. Okay, no, this is still a game. This is still a game. Because I'm at max speed. If I weren't at max speed, that's when Outpace Oblivion shoots me for 2 when they sack it. But if they send all in, we just kill them. Oh my god. Oh, right. Drain me for one? That's Exactsies then, because Trample. Because the drain for one off the Goda? Oh my god, wait. Oh, unless I Rides Ended the Terror there before the Goda trigger. Because I get trampled for one from Surveyor. Wait, no, maybe I'm still fine. Hold up. Okay, I go to two. You know, I'm blocking everybody. I trample for one, I go to two. So y'all don't even know how nervous I am right now. And then I just swing 12 with Sab. They do draw one. That is true. If it's a blocker, they still actually win. Okay, so I had to try to block in a way that doesn't kill the Surveyor. So I could have gone to one to not kill Surveyor and give them a draw. I might have punted it. Think I did. That's two blockers and they gain a life. Devastating. What a draw too. Ah, there's just so much math to do there. I wasn't even considering that they could draw a card off that thing. It's just dead. I have no way to draw a card here. It's literally one damage off. If they didn't also have the life gain, both of the blockers, it would be the win. Right, because I bobble the 1/1. I have the pilot crew the bike. Bobble the 1/1. Pilot crews the bike. That's a 4/2 and a 12/12 attacking. They block the 4/2 with the Wicker Folk and take 12. And even if I bobble the pilot, they can crew the cruiser with it. I feel like I played incredibly tight on so many turns. And like I was super correct attacking with the Sab, but all it takes is that one little punt of like, oops, I gave them one extra draw. That one extra draw is enough. And that's the same punt we made earlier as well. I mean, it wasn't a punt earlier. Earlier, I didn't spend an exile removal spell on their thing when I could have. Is there any way to not die here at 2 life? No. Because I only have 2 blockers up. Like maybe Tranquil Code means I'm not dead. That's such a frustrating loss. Force them to lose both of these creatures and then just die. Or I go block, block, and just die to the Ether Spark buffing Wicker Folk. All 3 of their attackers have at least 2 power. Or they just crew up Wicker Folk. Either way, I die on attacks or I die on blocks. Oh, man. The right idea, but the slightly wrong blocks last turn is literally all it takes. 4-1. Here we are now for game number 6. We're 4-1 right now. 1 win away from max prize out in terms of gems. No green source for Pothole Mole, but Pilot into Raider, Scrap Compactor. We keep this. Opponent moles to 5, I believe. I forgot to check who's on the play here. I probably said it out loud, honestly. Got a little too commentary mode, not enough actual brain mode for a second. I was not registering anything I was saying. Alright, they're on the play, on the mole to 5. They start with Blossoming Sands. Hello, here's a Scrap Compactor. Green, white, black. That's a mirror match. I mean, we've got a tiny bit of blue as well, but mainly green, white, black. Turn to Wicker Folk. I'm so jealous. This card would be great in our deck. I mean, great in any black deck, really. Here's the Surveil 2 from our opponent. Mulling down to 5 is going to mean almost any Surveils are going to be hard decisions. They're unlikely to have all of the mana they need or all the spells that they need to do much. So, yeah, really, really strong non-land card there, but they need mana, so they mill the Gonti. Here's Deathless Pilot, and we pass. If they have a good instant or sorcery in our hand to rip out with Gastel Raider, that's going to be particularly powerful with our opponent on a mull to 5. Put them even farther behind in card advantage. Cycle a Migrating Ketrodon. Yep, they're just looking for mana here, having to cycle some strong, large spells. Okay, here there is actually no point in raidering pre-combat, because if I raider pre-combat, they will definitely just block. Here I might be able to sneak 2 damage in if they want to keep Wicker Folk really safe, and Deathless Pilot's doing nothing on blocks anyway, because they're only attackers in the sky. So that's an opportunity where it actually just is right to raider post-combat. So we got rid of a Hellish Sideswipe, which honestly isn't like the scariest card in the world to get rid of. They have hit the second black, so they can play Bloodghast, which can't block, so I'm perfectly fine with Bloodghast. The card I'm more scared of is the Bulwark Ox. But I have the Scrap Compactor to kill that, and then if we find a white source, we can use our Perilous Snare to deal with the Hazard of the Dunes as well. I think with the Bulwark Ox immediately threatening to get a bunch of counters, I would definitely Scrap Compact it instantly. Bloodghast, not so much. Alright, so let's Pothole Mole. No sab, no sab, no sab, no sab, no sab. The prayer does not work. It is a lie and a falsehood. Okay, so I have enough creatures out now that I don't think I need to worry about Bulwark Ox being able to attack turn over turn. So I'm saving Scrap Compactor for Hazard of the Dunes. So we just adapt Scurryfoot, we compact the Hazard, and we go from there. Start attacking with a 3/3 and a 2/3 every turn, I guess. They can double block, but if they double block, I kill the Bulwark Ox. So we're jamming? No, I need to have enough toughness up to block a 3/3 Bulwark Ox and kill it so it doesn't get to keep steamrolling in. Or enough power up to kill a 3/3. Cool. Our opponent is completely playing off the top now. Momentum Breaker is the draw. Not very good against Deathless Pilot, luckily. Could have held up better blockers here. I probably should have held up Deathless Pilot and Scurryfoot. Because now they do get to kill 2 cards with the Ox, but we still remain ahead on board doing this, so I'm just going to do it. I suppose if that were the case anyway, I still would have wanted to sack the Deathless Pilot to the Momentum Breaker. It's a good draw. We're jamming. Speed 3. Max speed only matters now once we hit our white source for the snare. But we're definitely attacking here regardless. It's pretty unlikely to come up, but there is a vehicle in this format, the Ripclaw Mangler, that makes you discard a card when your opponent plays it, so I'll hold an extra swamp in the hand here. Their own Scurryfoot, that's pretty good. They only have 1 green source for it, though, unfortunately. So they have to wait another turn to use it. Okay, Sab's already gone, so I'm just going to Pothole. I don't really care if H-Chick gets milled. I'm just digging closer to the white source for Perilous Snare feels worth it. Alright, our solid position remains quite solid. They're down to 4. We have a massive board. They'll have 3 blockers up. They can go block, block, block the 3 biggest creatures and take 6 damage. That is dead on board. So it all comes down to their top deck. Risky shortcut, take another 2 damage, even more likely dead on board. So now they need a really powerful 2-mana spell, and I don't believe they have it here with the all-out swing and the message. Yeah, just the GG from opponent. Rough game for them. They started on a multiply, drew pretty rough mana there. We had the Raider as well to rip a card from their hand, so very unlucky game for our opponent, which means a very lucky game for us, and we are now 5-1. This means that no matter what, we are leaving this event with the maximum amount of gems you can get, which is pretty sweet. The only thing that's not so sweet about it is there was a punt last game that very clearly would have had us winning the game if I played it out correctly. So we know for a fact that if I had just not killed the 3-2 Trampler, we would be 6 wins right now and already have the qualifier weekend entry. So that's the one bummer on an otherwise great run so far. But it's not over yet. We still have one final chance, one final battle here. Win or lose, this will be our last game of Magic for today, and it decides whether or not I can get even more gems competing in the upcoming qualifier weekend next weekend, where it's going to be more Aetherdrift Sealed, but it'll be best of 3 next weekend. So fingers crossed here. I'd love to win it and record that event for you all to, at the very least, as always, grab us some more gems, but we'll see what happens here as we head into the final battle. Here we are now on the draw for the final game of Magic today, win or lose. We're going to start with Deathless Pilot, followed up with our Victory. If we draw any land at all, we also have Hazard of the Dunes. And if we can find a white source, we have the tremendously powerful Perilous Snare. Our first draw is a spin out here, so we've got a piece of interaction no matter what. Looking pretty decent. Our opponent starts with Gibberic Omnivore. Deathless Pilot plays quite well against that, and we have hit our 4th land to play Hazard. Turn 4. Lumbering World Wagon. Okay. That card is absolutely fantastic. I'm going to have to just spin it out next turn, which is a bummer, because what makes it so powerful is even if you immediately have the removal for it, which we do, still 2-for-1 dust. It still ramped them up and fixed their mana. And I had to discard a whole removal spell, so they are up a full card, and it's a valuable one, getting a splash color mana there that early, plus ramping into bigger plays early. And then there's stock up to dig 5 cards deep. Start of this game is not going super well for us, but our hand is still pretty powerful. So we'll see where things go from here. Draw our only other white spell in the deck, and now we've basically double mulliganed until we can find that second white source. Just holding back on blocks here, because our opponent hasn't had to cast a single removal spell all game. So I'm not particularly confident we'll have this Hazard up on blocks, so I'm just going to leave the Deathless Pilot to trade off the cast removal on Hazard. Guide Light Pathmaker, like their third 2-for-1 now between Stock Up and World Wagon and Pathmaker, and it finds a Perilous Snare out of their deck. Jesus, this game. They've got the 6/5 Vigilant threat on the board, the power to crew it up. We have no attacks. We don't even have particularly good blocks. And they can just exile our biggest blocker with the Snare here and start raising their speed. And they still have 5 other cards in hand through all these 2-for-1s. Here's the Snare. Goodbye, Hazard of the Dunes. Cast a starting column. Well, at least some more of their cards are just mana. Molt Tender is basically also just mana. So 3 spells we don't know about. I do have Scurryfoot for Pathmaker trade, so they're still chilling. Okay. Flooding out a little bit. Just find land 6, nothing to do with it. Again, I just can't attack through a 6/5, so we're not raising our speed at all anytime soon. This Hour of Victory is going to be just a 3-mana 2/2 for quite some time. At the current rate of the game, it looks like it's just going to be a 3-mana 2/2 forever. But you never know. All right. Well, that is very funny. Every single splash card is in our hand with none of the mana, and we're getting killed by a loot now. Getting super bombed out here. Their deck has a loot, Perilous Snare, World Wagon. World Wagon and loot. I mean, all 3 of these, honestly, some of the strongest rares in the whole format. I've got 2 as well, but they're uncastable here. So they've already 4-for-1'd us off of loot thanks to the Ancestral Recall ability. They still have a 2-4 double strike jamming in. Slick Imitator. Well, that game was about as unwinnable as possible. Loot, Gearhulk, Snare, World Wagon. Yeah, it is what it is. There's nothing we can do about that game. This event really came down to the first loss. The board state just got really cluttered on those blocks. I was thinking about a bunch of other stuff. I wasn't worried about what creatures I was killing because I'm like, well, I have lethal on the crackback and they got no cards in hand. And I forgot that if we kill the surveyor creatures, they have one last chance to top deck and stop us from lethaling them, and they did. They top decked and stopped us from lethaling them, so literally the whole event comes down to our game 5 punt. Again, I don't actually really mind losing that last game the way that we lost it. Like, that's just going to happen. That's part of Magic. Some sealed pools are just going to be insanely powerful. And, you know, playing a deck like this, sometimes we're just not going to hit those splash colors. That absolutely happens. The part that I'm really bummed about is that I genuinely would have won if I had assigned damage differently there. Chose not to kill the 3-2 that draws a card out of their grave. We know for a fact we had lethal on board. They had no cards in hand, but I just didn't even consider that there. And that punted us out of the 6-win run, punted us out from making it to the qualifier weekend on this one. So obviously a huge bummer. Huge bummer to lose it due to just a guaranteed factual 100%. You can look back on it and know for sure it was an error. But in the end, I think this deck still played out really well. I'm still really happy with the deck that I built. I think a lot of the games I played quite tight for the most part. It was just that one really pivotal error that took us out of contention. This wasn't a bad event as a whole. Still got a lot of gems, the maximum gems that we can. And while it may be a little bit of a bummer that we don't get to get into that qualifier weekend and try to compete for separate gems within that event, that's perfectly fine because that's going to be a really busy weekend anyway. That's when we're going to be uploading tons of Tarkir Dragonstorm early access videos. So if I did get into the qualifier weekend, all that would really mean for the Magic channel is that you would get to see 2 less early access drafts of Tarkir Dragonstorm. So all in all, this might be just a good thing in the end that I don't have to play more Aetherdrift when I'm ready to start playing Tarkir Dragonstorm. So it is what it is. There's benefits and downsides to getting into the qualifier weekend, but not the end of the world here. We'll take our 6,000 gems here. That's still quite a hefty prize out, and I'll just throw all of these gems at some more Tarkir in the near future. But that is going to end today's video. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons and YouTube members for their support, as well as you for watching the video. If you enjoyed it and you're interested in seeing some more, you can always like, comment, and subscribe to tell the YouTube audience to send you some more in the recommended feed. If you'd like to catch me live, you can check out the Twitch channel in the link in the description below. And if you'd like to support the channel directly, you can check out the Patreon link in the description below. But other than that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.